Hi, my name is Terry, and you're watching Terry Tells the Story. Today, we're talking about why the Department of Energy is ignoring Congress in 2026. On January 23rd, 2026, a pen hit a piece of paper in the White House and changed the future of the American energy grid. President Trump signed H.R. 6938, the Energy and Water Development Appropriations Act. This bill was supposed to be the final word. But Congress looked at the proposed budget cuts and decided that these programs were too vital to kill. They voted to restore billions of dollars to keep community programs running. But as we sit here today, thousands of specialized nonprofit workers across the country are still being handed pink slips. The money is legally there, but the offices are closing anyway. Today we're going to look at the hidden man behind the desk, the hidden work being erased, and the truth about why this budget doesn't match the reality on the ground. To understand why your local community programs are vanishing, you have to understand the man running the department, Secretary Chris Wright. Chris Wright isn't your typical career politician. He's a self-described energy nerd from Colorado, with degrees from MIT and Berkeley. He spent his career as the CEO of Liberty Energy, a multi-billion-dollar fracking company. He's the guy who once famously drank fracking fluid on camera to prove it wasn't dangerous. Wright's philosophy is simple: energy dominance. He believes that for the world to thrive, we need massive amounts of cheap, reliable power from oil, gas, and nuclear. He's been a vocal critic of what he calls the so-called energy transition, once stating in a viral video that there is no climate crisis. Because he's focused on the big stuff, nuclear reactors and massive shale production, he views the smaller, community-focused programs as bureaucratic waste. But as you're about to see, one man's waste is another family's survival. When the DOE talks about cutting red tape, they don't show you the faces on the other side of that tape. They are cutting the local nonprofits that act as customer service and safety nets for the American energy grid. Here is exactly what you're losing. First, weatherization assistance. These nonprofits go into the homes of seniors and low-income families to physically stop energy from leaking out of the building. They test to find hidden drafts, they put insulation into attics and walls, and they use caulk and weather stripping to seal gaps around windows and doors. They even clean and tune old furnaces and replace leaky ductwork so heating systems can run safely and efficiently. The return on investment is clear. For every $1 spent or invested, it generates $1.72 in direct energy savings for the family and $2.78 in health benefits. Families save an average of $372 every year with this program. By cutting it, the DOE isn't saving money. They are effectively taxing the poorest Americans by letting their heat escape through the roof. Another example is the emergency responders, grid resilience. During winter storms or grid failures, hospitals and pharmacies have to stay online. Specialized nonprofits are the missing link that actually gets the technology working. They don't just buy equipment, they provide the on-site engineering expertise to wire solar arrays and industrial batteries directly into a building's emergency circuits. Without them, this expensive equipment sits in boxes because a local clinic or fire station doesn't have the $200 an hour specialists required to perform and program the software, sync the batteries to the main grid, or perform the high voltage safety testing. These nonprofits do the complex installation. They handle the digital integration, and they train the local staff on how to flip the switch when the lights go out. Another example is the Safety Guardians for environmental oversight. In towns near old industrial or nuclear sites, nonprofits act as independent watchdogs. They monitor the air and water, providing a second opinion that doesn't come from a corporate boardroom. They ensure the legacy of big energy doesn't become a health crisis for your kids. Finally, these nonprofits work with workforce training. This is perhaps the most critical loss. These nonprofits take workers from dying industries, folks who spent decades in coal or manufacturing, and retrain them as electricians and technicians of the 2026 grid. These job bridges aren't just teaching, they are building the workforce that will keep Americans' lights on for the next 50 years. Here's the part that should concern every taxpayer, regardless of your politics. On January 23rd, Congress passed the final funding bill. They specifically eliminated the Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations, but they protected and funded the community project accounts. By law, that money is supposed to be flowing to these nonprofits, but Secretary Wright is pushing a reduction in force anyway. While the DOE is sitting on billions for corporate coal subsidies and nuclear production, the small nonprofits, the ones that actually help the average citizen, are being told that the cupboard is bare. This isn't a budget issue, it's an administrative choice. When a department ignores a law to push their own agenda, it's no longer about efficiency. It's about who gets to decide which American jobs matter. The stability of your homes shouldn't be a casualty of a spreadsheet error or a secretary's personal philosophy. Now, if you've made it this far, it's important that you know how you can help. Number one, you can donate. Terry Tells the Story pledges to match every dollar donated under this video to nonprofits in America to help keep the lights on and support the desperately needed work that they do. Number two, you can reach out to the House Committee on Appropriations and demand that this vital funding be released. Here's the contact information for the decision makers in Washington. You can copy and paste this message into an email or draft your own message. And I haven't forgotten the Spanish lesson for today. It's la verdad no necesita un presupuesto. La verdad no necesita un presupuesto. And what that means is the truth doesn't need a budget. If you like this video or you learned something new, drop a like down below. And if you have a specific topic that you'd like to see me cover, drop me a comment. We'll see you next time.